It's a rainy winter night and you are home alone. You hear a noise outside and look out the window, but you see nothing. As you creep down the stairs, a door slams and you see a dark shadow in the corner of the room. Suddenly, all of the lights in your house turn off. Officially spooked, you start to question what could be happening. Is a ghost coming for you? All the lights regain power in your house. The noise outside was the wind blowing a tree against your window. The door slamming was the air unit in your house turning on, and the shadow in the corner of the room was your cat by a lamp. The idea of ghosts and other supernatural spirits is entertained from movies. The reality is that ghosts are fiction and a figment of imagination that we consider to be real. I hope to convince you that ghosts are not existent in our world, but rather an amusing idea that we gullibly give into. Due to the fact that I am fascinated with the idea of a supernatural world that we cannot explain, I watch, analyze, and research a lot of ghost stories and documentaries. From this experience, I feel it is important to share with you the truth about the reality of ghosts. Today, I will be explaining how there is scientific evidence that ghosts cannot exist, as well as analyzing the common reasons why people choose to believe in ghosts and the misconceptions in each of these. By the end of this speech, I hope to persuade you that the ideas of ghosts are all in our head. We will first look at the scientific evidence that supports the non-existence of ghosts. Sir Isaac Newton is a famous scientist who is credited with making a lot of achievements in the scientific world. One of his achievements was the law of action and reaction. Costa Efemo is a physicist at the University of Central Florida who said that ghosts violate Newton's law. Ghosts cannot walk because that would mean that they apply force to the floor. They cannot float because that would mean that they have no substance. According to the National Science Foundation poll, 1 in 3 Americans believe in ghosts and 20% in witches and mediums. Efemo's research has looked at the most prominent supernatural cases, and in 1989, a Haitian 17-year-old was declared dead and then rose from the grave days after the funeral. People considered him a ghost or a zombie, but in all actuality, he was stung by a poisonous pufferfish and was paralyzed and unable to communicate for several days. This is just one example from many that show how mistaken we can be when involving so-called ghosts. Another scientific factor that supports the non-existence of ghosts is the insufficient equipment used to prove their existence. The existence of ghosts is explained through personal experiences, orbs, which are white lights that show up as smudges on pictures, manual equipment such as dowsing rods, and electronic voice phenomena. According to Discovery Channel News, there are problems relying on each one of these. Personal experiences are often explained as feelings or spooky vibes picked up, and it really does not represent any real evidence. Orbs have been shown to be created by insects, dust, and flash reflections. Manual equipment such as dowsing rods has never really been proven to be able to detect anything. Electronic voice phenomena are extremely unreliable. Microphones can pick up the smallest of sounds, and they're usually interpreted as ghost murmurs. The most important thing to remember is that the equipment used by ghost hunters does not increase the evidence that ghosts are real. Discovery News stated that another possibility is that ghosts and the paranormal do not exist, and that the evidence collected from them is simply the result of hoaxes, honest mistakes, misperceptions, and misunderstandings. Now that we have established that there is no scientific evidence in the existence of ghosts, we will now look at how the belief in ghosts is flawed and construed. The belief in ghosts and the paranormal is a misperception that can have a psychological hold on people. New York City-based psychotherapist Jonathan Albert stated, "I think that people believe in ghosts or spirits because it provides comfort. There are so many things in this life that are hard to explain, and that's why we tell stories and have myths." This thought of disembodied spirits can really affect a person's life, and this hold can prevent them from seeing that ghosts are really not real. Oftentimes, a ghost experience is your mind playing tricks on you or a hoax. Nonetheless, it is important to note that if you believe in ghosts, it is because you want to believe in ghosts. If you look back to the Bible, there is even scriptural proof saying that ghosts cannot exist. The word ghost in the Bible meant to die. It was also used in the term the Holy Ghost, which was Jesus risen from the grave. BibleInfo.com addressed the question of whether or not ghosts can haunt a house. Job 7:9-10 states, "As the cloud disappears and vanishes away, so he who goes down to the grave does not come up. He shall never return to his house, nor shall his place know him any more." People have taken the biblical term ghost and construed it into their own meaning. This is another misinterpretation that most people do not realize. These flawed beliefs in ghosts lead us to the misconception of many who mix reality with fiction. In order to mix reality with fiction, people would have to be extremely gullible. According to Philip Micah, a sociologist, gullibility is a widespread product of people's failure to properly apply reason, logic, and skepticism to a claim or idea. This is a big part of the belief in ghosts. People must believe that they cannot see what they cannot see, and only go off of what others have said or inconclusive evidence. Huffington Post and YouGov did a poll that said 45% of Americans believe in ghosts, or that spirits from the dead can come back. FMO, who we talked about earlier, commented that he had nothing against those who enjoy the supernatural world as long as they didn't mix it with their own reality. The entertainment world of today also plays a big role in the belief of ghosts. Again, going back to gullibility, if people see it in the movies, they think it could possibly happen. This is another example of applying sheer fiction to real life. Bob Parks is a physics professor at the University of Maryland who has said that the scientists are having to remind people what seems all too obvious. Ghosts are not real. It must be stated that scary ghost movies and films on supernatural activity are all on fiction. There's no stable evidence to back them. In conclusion, I'm insisting that each of you look at the evidence I've presented and determine for yourself that ghosts do not exist. The next time you think you are in the presence of a ghost, stop freaking out and analyze the situation. Most likely, it's your cat's shadow in the corner of the room again. When we get spooked, we automatically think of the worst thing, but in reality, there is a simple explanation behind it. As famous sci-fi movie director Stephen King once stated, "Monsters are real and ghosts are too. They live inside of us and sometimes they win."